khipus are the knotted cord record system of the Inka Empire. We have super early Spanish colonial records from when the Spanish first arrived that talk about khipus being used to record storehouse information, census counts, calendrical data, all sorts of numerical information. But we also have some sort of early Spanish accounts talking about khipus being used in non-numerical ways, so recording narrative information, perhaps like songs, histories, or stories, which is obviously really, really interesting, and especially given the fact that the Inka Empire is quite famous for being this super expansive empire, but without a writing system. So I've worked mostly on two sort of sets of khipus. So the khipus here in the Peabody, some of which you see behind me here, but also another set of khipus in Peru. Those khipus are sort of the focus of my dissertation, the ones in Peru. And they came from these cliffside tombs from this high elevation lake way up in the northern highland jungle of Peru. Those khipus are particularly important and special because they're some of the largest we've ever found, some of the most intact, and they're also the only highland khipus we have. So being able to glimpse at a region of Peru and of the Inka Empire that you usually wouldn't be able to is kind of the main focus of this dissertation, and thinking about particularly how those khipus fit into the Inka Empire itself. I'm really interested in questions of how these khipus, which are sort of objects of administration and objects of control and sort of surveillance, if you will, of like the population, were sort of used, and how they sort of articulate imperial control. For example, there's a really famous case study that I recently worked on from the Santa Valley, Peru, where you have a set of 6 khipus and a Spanish colonial document, which seem to sort of be a match to some extent. So it's sort of a Rosetta Stone type situation. In this particular case study, the Spanish colonial document is recording how much tribute should be paid by this group of people, by this community, and it's sort of reevaluating how many tributaries are there, how much do they need to pay. And that's pretty much all the document tells you. It tells you a few names of people, it tells you the total they owe, and that's pretty much it. But the khipus can inform us a little bit more about the different sort of social hierarchies that are in this community, how much each person actually paid. So you get sort of this more cohesive and broader picture when you integrate both the historical documents and the khipus in this particular case. I think why studying khipus is so important is because we have access to these amazing objects that are clearly filled with all of this amazing information that is being recorded by these indigenous people in their own area, right? And a lot of what we know about the Inca and about people from the Andes, especially from before the Spanish arrived, is from the Spanish themselves, who come and they interview different people and they write down whatever they think. But these are all very, again, sort of tainted by Eurocentric views, by Eurocentric understandings of the world. You have to read all of these Spanish colonial documents with a grain of salt. And that's sort of one of the main ways we can understand the Andean past. The other main way is through archaeology, right, through excavating. But I think khipus sort of allow this third window where we can look at the Andean past, but like through the records of the people that were actually there, right? And they recorded the things that they wanted to record, and it's sort of their own view and understanding of their world. And so I think khipus allow this sort of access that normally you don't get in places like this. It allows us to sort of ultimately, hopefully, understand their own world through their own records.